everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree. Hi, if you're new here, or hey, if you've been here before. So today I'm going to take it real low-key again and talk about my favorite tropes in the fantasy genre. So this is, I guess, not an uncommon video. I'm sure tons and tons of people have made them, but I was kind of thinking of partly of what my writing and things that I really love to write about, and realize, the things I love to write about are also the things I love to read about. So why not talk about them and share them with you guys today? I actually have a wonderful list of 7 tropes that I typically really enjoy or like to see in books, especially if they're done a little bit differently or just really well done in general. And we're going to talk about them. So here we go. So the first one is I have to mention because I have read so many books with this, and that is the chosen one trope. Classic trope in fantasy. And if you haven't heard it before, it's basically when you have an individual in your fantasy story and they are chosen to do a task or complete a mission or save the world, etc. So Harry Potter is a huge and one of the most beloved chosen one tropes, where Harry was like the one to defeat the Dark Lord. And I mean, there's tons, like Frodo Baggins kind of being the chosen one with the one ring. All those fun stories. I personally love this, and I love when it's done just a little bit differently or just really well. Like I said, Harry Potter was one of my favorite books ever, is one of my favorite books ever. That's a chosen one trope, and I've definitely read several others since then. Not all the ones that I've read make my list because sometimes I feel like they do get repetitive, but again, some of them I think are done in such a good way. And the biggest thing that I would say, because instead of me beating around the bush, is when a chosen one trope is done in a way that it's like, maybe they should be the chosen one, or could it be someone else, or you have some kind of thing that, like, someone saying like a couple people fit the bill, but this, you're just following this one. I like that as well. Harry Potter in a way was that, with Neville being a possibility of another chosen one. I also think with the Hunger Games, in a way, Katniss was kind of like the chosen one. She was the one that stood out, and eventually they kind of made her this Mockingjay symbol, but in theory it could have been anyone at any point in time. It just, she was convenient, she was a good ploy, and the story that they were weaving the entire time and using Katniss, she ended up being the chosen one, even though she didn't have to be. So I kind of like that. It's like when chosen one is circumstantial, that's even better to me. In addition to chosen ones, the next favorite trope that I have sometimes correlates really well with chosen ones, and that is prophecies. I love a good prophecy. I love when prophecies are poetic, especially, and there's a chance I might be writing 2 books with prophecies in them. What can I say? I'm a sucker for good prophecies. It's just always something I really like. I like especially because prophecies are very subjective, and hopefully during camp I'll talk a little bit more about one of my own novels, the one that I'm writing and editing myself for Camp NaNoWriMo in April. I especially like when prophecies can be kind of dissected and looks at kind of like, are you playing into fate if you're believing every single word of prophecy and then it becomes self-fulfilling, or is it set in stone and there's nothing you could do to avoid this, and even if you try, it's still going to happen, or you can ignore it, and it's just kind of like this dissection of prophecies. I absolutely love that. So there might be that in my novel as well as my co-written novel. There might be a prophecy in it. I just really like them. Like I said, I think Harry Potter, another one that had a prophecy, and it was just kind of like this, like everyone in that world have a prophecy, where you have like this entire the hall and they're going through and kind of seeing like each person has like their own kind of destiny, and I loved that idea. I also love when it's like a witch or a wizard or whoever, a sorceress, delivers one to you. I like kind of like this overall, like these myths or legends that has a prophecy in books. They're all really well, I can't say they're all really well done, but what I will say is I usually really like them, especially if it makes sense. I mean, as long as you can sell it to me, I will be sold. Along with prophecies in fantasy, I also have a thing for hidden heirs. I absolutely love, and this one's a little bit trickier because I've definitely read a lot of bad ones like this. But if you have a hidden heir, like someone who is supposed to step up to the throne and was hidden away, or, stolen at birth, or, Rapunzel kind of thing, anything like that, where they're the heir to something, whether it's the heir to magic, the heir to the throne, and they don't know it, or they're stolen, thrown a glass, for instance, that kind of stuff. If it's well done, I'm a sucker for it. I kind of like seeing people reclaim their birthright. I also like the juxtaposition where people are almost given a birthright and maybe not wanting it, and kind of seeing how that plays out. Like, this is your role, but I don't want it. I didn't know I needed it, etc. I've read tons of books. Like I said, Throne of Glass, the books I'm writing, maybe. I didn't finish the Red Queen series. I only read book 1, but I wouldn't doubt that has a hidden heir possibility. The City of Brass, I think, has a hint of that in it. A lot of fantasy books. It's a well-loved trope for a reason, or a well-used trope. Maybe people don't love it. But yeah, I definitely think there's some kind of like appeal to that, because I think when we're in our sometimes boring reality of life on Earth, it is always nice to think like, what if we did have this potential, or like we could come into inheritance somewhere, and what would we do with that? I think that's a good discussion, especially, how would this change me? Is this what I actually want? Am I content with the life I have, and accepting this new life wouldn't mean anything for me? Yeah, I just think that's a good, interesting topic to have in fantasy books. Along with hidden heirs are lost civilizations. Sometimes they go hand in hand, right? So lost civilizations, this trope is used, I don't see this as frequently, but I mean, obviously the story of Atlantis is a big one. So lost civilizations could happen for any amount of reasons. You can have it in space, you can have it on Earth, you can have it in dystopia, you can have it in fantasy. But I think in fantasy it means a lot more, because you can build this lost civilization. And who knows, like, did they go underground? Do people think they're extinct? Do people, is there some kind of sad story that was attached to this civilization, etc.? There's a lot of possibilities you can use with it, and I think that's why I like it so much, because it's like, what are you uncovering when you see this lost civilization? And is it good, or is it bad? And personally, I think I would love to see more bad lost civilizations. Like, the civilization was lost for a reason, don't go dig it up. And what happens if someone does? Book idea? Let's not get ahead of myself. Okay, write it in, Brie, write it in. So yeah, I'll keep that really brief, but I think there's always something interesting about, like I said, uncovering something that might not have been there. Especially if there is like a fantasy based on a loose, like, reality of ours, thinking of like the Incas, the Mayas, like civilizations that have been lost in our own history. I mean, taking inspiration into a fantasy book for that too is always something interesting. And I don't think I've read any of that, at least not to my knowledge. I would say the City of Brass was the closest one to that, where it's like you kind of have this, again, it's a fantasy world though, but it is like a lost city. It's like the city of the Jinn. So it wasn't, I don't think it quite fits the bill, but again, it's kind of like, oh wow, we didn't know this existed, and what's going to come of it? My most beloved trope probably on this list is one that I have read a lot of, and it just always warms my heart, because as the saying goes, you can't choose your blood, but you can choose your friends, and that's something I've always held near and dear to me. And found families, or chosen families in books, are my niche. I not only love to write them, but I love to read them. Six of Crows is one of my favorite duologies that has a strong found family component. I think Harry Potter, to some degree, well, not even to some degree, Harry Potter is a found family as well. He's not treated very well by the Dursleys, goes to school and finds a new family where he's loved and supported, and they just make things happy, and it's great. There's just something about it, like, that you get to choose who you get to spend your time with, who you get to be with, who you get to run into danger with, and it's lovely. I don't think I have any words for it, but I just don't. Is there anyone who doesn't love a found family? Because that would shock me more, honestly. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that they don't like found family stories. But let me know. If you are that one person, please let me know. Thank you. So I have 2 more on this list, and we're cracking down. So I'll start with the one that's kind of tied into kind of the lost civilization one that I mentioned before, and that is kind of like something is like myth or legend, extinct, thought dead. So, you know, whether it's like a magical creature that's been thought that they were extinct, or, you know, a powerful person that everyone thought has been dead for years, or, you know, some kind of like legend or myth that everyone, you know, didn't think was actually real, or maybe it was a bedtime story to scare you, and you find out that it is actually true. I love that. I read a few books recently, and I don't want to spoil anything because those books actually could be spoilers considering they're not in the beginning of the book. So I'll just leave it at, you know, I've definitely read some, and they've been well done, and it kind of reignited this love for that theme and that trope, because I think it's almost this beauty of like, I mean, sometimes it's a little predictable, right? If you're mentioning it in the beginning of the book, there's a good chance that this is gonna come back in some capacity. But I, again, really like turning that on its head. You know, if you have like, maybe it's this like benevolent god figure that everyone thought wasn't real, it was just like a story, and you meet them and they're shit, they're not a good person, or like they're a con artist, they lied to get this position of power, etc. You know, turns your expectations around type of deal. Or, you know, maybe they just never were this person and they kind of created this persona to help others and didn't realize it was going to get out of hand. Or, you know, maybe they always were thought to be powerful, and this person actually has like no magic, no power, and is just sitting back, so they're a letdown. Or with the, you know, a mythical creature, maybe this was the only thing that, it kind of goes with the chosen one. Maybe you were sent on a quest to find this mythical creature and never thought you would. You found it, and you have, you know, X happens. You can't get the magical creature to help you. You can't, you know, you maybe have to hurt it. There's some kind of conflict of getting that magic creature. Anywho, before I start rambling, I really like kind of playing with this idea too of like, you know, we have this figure that no one thought was around, no one thought was alive, they thought was legend, and you put a conflict in with that. So, okay, yes, they are around, but is it what you expect? I always think that could be very well done, and especially in, I would definitely say, fantasy and horror books. I think this is like the best genres to kind of get this in, because you can do a lot with suspense and kind of the thrills that come with that. And the last trope that I absolutely love is an oldie but goodie, and I've been seeing them make a resurgence in the young adult population lately. But that would be Masquerade Balls. Because is it really a young adult story without a masquerade ball? Listen, I will go down with this ship. I love Masquerade Balls. I think are they a convenient plot point? Maybe, probably. I don't care. I like the mystery, the element, the tension that builds with this type of, you know, mysterious masked ball. I think it's great. I've read the Grace and Fury series, had one of these, absolutely loved it. Pretty sure the Caravel series by Stephanie Garber, loved it. Going back to like my teenage years, the Blue Blood series, the Vampire series by Melissa de la Cruz, Masquerade in book 2, yes, give me all the vibes. There might be Masquerade Balls in one of my novels. I'm a sucker, what can I say? But think about it, there's just so much power of like, you know, not being able to see or know people, or you can use it for like espionage and spying and trickery. You can use it for like these cute little moments of like love and romance, or, you know, you can use it for kind of power plays and manipulation. There's so many things that can go on in a masquerade ball. They can happen all at once if you have multiple perspectives. And I think that's why I love them. There's just this like added suspense. But what kind of suspense do you want? Do you want it cute and romancy? Do you want it like thrillery and like I can die? Do you want it like political? It's anyone's court in this matter. Well, anyone's ballroom. Guys, it's like 9:30 at night and I'm super cheesy and I really apologize. Anyway, yeah, I've always been a sucker, and it probably has been, I think this started in my teens. Especially with like Phantom of the Opera, watching that musical well, I started with the movie, I went to go see the musical. I read a lot of books that had this theme in it, and my dream was to go to a masquerade ball. I haven't yet to go to a masquerade ball, but if anyone wants to invite me to one, I'll show up. Well, given the location, but I would like to show up. Yeah, That's just my wish in life. Like I want to go to a masquerade ball, so instead I'm going to write about them because I have yet to go to one in real life. That's it. That's what fantasy's all about. Am I right? So there you have it, my 7 tropes in fantasy that I absolutely love. Let me know down below. Do you agree with some of my choices? Were any on this list some of your favorites as well? Or do you have completely other trope choices that you would choose or that you gravitate towards when you pick up a book? Let me know down below. And until next time, guys, I'll see you then. Bye!